Hello everybody, welcome back to a video, and today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Shut In. And before we get into this, I do want to say, warning, this movie does dive into some very serious subject matter. And so, just going to warn you of that ahead of time. So let's get into this. Alright, so the movie is about, basically you have this young woman named Jessica. She is played fantastically by Rainey Corali. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Well, her last name. Sorry if I messed it up. But she is fixing to move with her two children when her ex and this other guy show up and they lock her in her pantry. She is stuck in there, and while she's shut in the pantry, the other guy, uh, whose name is Sammy, played by Vincent Gallo, shows up, and this is where a lot of the dark stuff comes in, threatens her children. So now Jessica has to get A, out of the pantry, and B, she has to save her children. Ultimately, she does escape the pantry and saves her children, but then Sammy wakes up, threatens them again, only to be shot by the ex, Rob, from the beginning of the movie. And then the really only action sequence of the movie is sort of a chase scene at the end where Rob is chasing Jessica. Ultimately, she pushes him out of a window, and the movie cuts to a little while later and shows that the lives of Jessica and her children have improved significantly. All right, so let's just start with the obvious. Rainey Qualley is fantastic in this movie, and I think she's fantastic in this movie for several reasons. One, she is selling that sense of dread which you need for this movie. But I mean, I think that she has a very difficult task, which is she has to act in a room by herself while other people are acting alongside of her out of the room, out of the pantry, because that's where she is for most of the movie. And you get some really interesting stuff there. And again, the continuation of the dread building. There's some great stuff in this movie. But let's talk about, because I know you're, yeah. So secondary villain is the ex, Rob. He is a secondary villain in the sense of he is antagonistic in the last 10 minutes of the movie. Not the biggest threat throughout most of the movie. The biggest threat is the character of Sammy. He's the big threat. And so what you have is a character who just is there for the opening to do the locking of the main character inside the pantry, and then shows up at the end to act as a secondary villain. And I mean, fine, but if you want to talk about villains for this movie, good grief, this movie's villain is the most evil type of villain you can ever imagine. I'm not going to get into the reasoning here, but if you've seen the trailers or watched the movie, you know what I'm getting to when I say the most evil villain imaginable. Right? This is even saying compared to, big Hollywood blockbusters, because someone like Kang thinks that he's, when he's killing universes, he thinks it's because by killing a few, he'll save others. Thanos in Infinity War, by killing half the universe, he thinks the other half is going to thrive, right? They try to justify their motives. This villain is pure evil and irredeemable. Good grief. Sorry if that seemed like I was getting a little bit angry, but just, this is the most evil villain I think I might have seen ever. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the ending to get this to a happy note. The ending sees the main character and her children in a much better position than they were at the beginning of the movie. Fully, they've learned throughout the movie. Well, not learned. They've grown. The characters have grown. And yeah, it just ends on a happy note for the protagonist. I think this is a movie that doesn't need a sequel. It's perfect as a one-off story. What could you really do with the second movie? But I mean, I think this might be the best movie of the 2020s. It's a very strong contender anyway. It's an incredible movie. It's very serious, but it's great. And so I would highly recommend watching Shut In. It is a 10 out of 10 movie. Just incredible. But that is it for this video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.